Things that I know is that there are four main coins that you've learned about. There are other coins, but we just haven't spent much time learning about them in school. So the four main coins that we've learned about are our penny, our nickel, our dime, and our quarter. So the first one that's the smallest in value is our penny. And hopefully we remembered that a penny is worth 1 cent. Usually people remember the penny because it looks a little bit different. It's a copper color instead of the silver. The next biggest coin is the nickel. And a nickel is worth 5 cents. Nickel, nickel, thick and fat. You're worth 5. I know that. Then the next biggest is the dime, and that is the smallest in size, but it's certainly not the smallest in value. A dime is worth 10 cents. Dime, dime, little and thin, I remember you're worth 10. And then the biggest coin that we worry about in 3rd grade is the quarter. And a quarter is our biggest coin, and it's worth the most. Quarter, quarter, big and bold. You're worth 25, so I'm told. So those are our 4 coins that we're going to be focusing the most on as we start to count money. But before we start counting, I know that some teachers taught hairy money and some teachers taught touch money. So we're going to kind of just go through as a reminder of what that is. So whether you were doing touch or hairy money, it was the same idea that each little thing that you draw on the coin is worth 5. So if I'm drawing hair on my quarter, I'm going to draw by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 until I get to the value. So quarter is 25. A quarter of 25 cents has 5 hairs. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. If I was doing touch money, I have 5 touch points on the quarter. So each one, when I touch it, I say 5, or I count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. For the dime, since it's worth 10 cents, if each hair is worth 5, I'm going to need 2 hairs for my dime. 5, 10. And if I was doing the touch money, I have 2 touch points. 5, 10. And the nickel, since it's only worth 5, only has 1 little teeny tiny hair. It's kind of like the baby, just growing its hair. And it's worth 5. Same thing with touch. It's 1 dot for 5. And our poor penny is bald because he is not worth up to 5 cents. He's only 1 cent. So now we can get into counting coins. Okay, so now we're going to count our money. I have a collection of coins here on the table, on the mat, and we need to figure out how much is this collection of coins worth. So there are a couple of different strategies that I can use. The way that I like to do it is I like to go by value. So I'm going to start by picking out the coins that are worth the most. And the coin that we know that's worth the most is the quarter. So I'm going to figure out how many quarters do we have. And I see here's 1 quarter, here's a 2nd quarter. So I know I have 2 quarters. Next, I'm going to find my dimes. Here's a dime and another dime. So dimes, I have 2. The next biggest value is my nickel. And I'm going to see, do I have any nickels? Well, I have this one. So I have 1. And then finally, I'm worried about my penny. And to see how many pennies I have 1, 2. So I'm going to write down that I have 2. Now I have to figure out, well, how much is that worth if I put it all together? So I know that 2 quarters, well, if I know 1 quarter is 25 cents, I can add 25 plus 25 to figure out how much 2 are. So 5 plus 5 is 10. Put my 0, carry my 1. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. So 2 quarters is equal to 50 cents. So I'm going to write down 50 cents. Now 2 dimes, that's a little easier. Dimes are worth 10, so I have 10 20 for 20 cents. Nickel, oh, that's easy. I only have 1. And a nickel's worth 5 cents. So I'm going to put down that it's worth 5. And remember, we want to keep that placeholder because there aren't any 10s. And a penny, 2 pennies, is worth 2 cents. And now all I have to do is add those numbers all together. So I'd like you to do this in your Math Centers journal as I do it on the video. So I'm going to come off to the side because I got it a little sideways there. I'm going to add it all up. 0 plus 0 plus 5 plus 2 is a total of 7. And then I have 5 plus 2 is 7. So I have 77 cents. Now another way I could do this is I could do the touch math or the hairy money. So I'll show you that way as well. So if I have the things on my desk or on a piece of paper or on a computer screen, I can go ahead and draw on all the hair. So I see this big one, quarter, big and bold. You're worth 25, so I'm told. So that means I'm going to have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm going to put hairs on until I get to 25. And I see I have another quarter here, so I'm going to do the same thing. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm going to come over here. A nickel is worth 5, and I only have 1 of those, so 1 hair. I have dimes here. Dimes are worth 10, so I'm going to put hair on until I get to 10, counting by 5s. 5, 10. And my other dime, 5, 10. And we know our poor pennies are bald. They don't have any hair. We could say that's a mustache if you wanted to. And now we're going to count by 5s until we finish counting all of our lines. I like to make a little mark after I've used the line so that I know that it's already been counted and I don't count it twice. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, and then I have 76, 77 cents. So I got the same answer, just a different way of doing it. Okay, you can do the same thing with touch money. 5 dots, 5 dots, 1 dot for our nickel, 2 dots, 2 dots. So I'd go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 76, 77. So I can do that. There are lots of different ways that I can count money, but it's really important to always make sure you identify the coin first and decide what type of coin is this. And then remember, think about how much it's worth before you start drawing hairs or dots or making totals. So let's try another example. So if you don't have your Math Centers journal out, I want you doing this with me. So please get your Math Centers journal out of your desk. And I want you following along and doing this as I do it. Okay, friends, here we go with example number 2. So remember, before I start doing hairs or dots or values, I'm going to identify my coins. And if it's on the computer, I would write a Q on top for quarter so that I remember that's a quarter. I'm going to write a D on top for dime. So if it's a worksheet or on the computer, you can use the pen tool or your pencil to write the letter of the type of coin. That way we don't get confused once we start. And it's a little bit hard to write on these, so that I'm sorry for the delay. Quarter, penny, penny, dime, penny, penny. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to start with the ones that have the biggest value first. So I'm going to look for all of my coins that have a Q. And I see that I have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write down that I have 3 quarters. Okay, if you're doing hair, you can put hair on them. So we remember each hair is 5. So I'm going to do until I get to 25 for quarters. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. On my next quarter until I get to 25, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And my last quarter, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. Next, I'm going to do the next biggest. So I'm always going from biggest value to smallest value. I'm going to look for my dimes. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 dimes. Okay, each dime is worth 10 cents. So I'm going to write that I have 4 dimes. And if a dime is 10 cents, that means it gets two hairs. 5, 10, 5, 10, 5, 10, and 5, 10. Okay, next in value is my nickel. I only have 1 of those. So a nickel is worth 5, so it only gets 1 hair. And the final coin is the penny. A penny, remember, doesn't get any hair or dots because it is only worth 1 cent. So I have 4 pennies. Now, if I'm adding up by value, I'm going to see, okay, 3 quarters, 4 dimes, 1 nickel, and 4 pennies. How much is all of that worth? So 3 quarters. So if I don't know how much 3 quarters is worth, I can do some addition. So I'll come to the side of my paper and I'll do 1 quarter plus 1 quarter plus 1 quarter and add it all up. So I'm going to do 5 plus 5 is 10 plus 5 is 15. Put my 5, carry my 1. Now I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, 7. So if I don't know that 3 quarters, and some of you might know that 3 quarters is 75 cents already, but I'm going to add it up if I don't know. Now 4 dimes. If a dime is worth 10, I can count by tens. 4 times 10, 20, 30, 40. So 4 dimes is 40 cents. A nickel, 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 thick and fat, you're worth 5. I know that. And 4 pennies, so that's only 4 cents. And now I can add all of those together to get a total value. I'm going to do 5 plus 0 is 5, plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Now I'm going to add my tens column. I have 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 4 more. 8 plus 4 is 12. So now do I say that we have 124 cents? That sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? Well, really, when we pass 100, that means we now have dollars. So 100 pennies or 100 cents is equal to $1. Oh, and you can't see that, I apologize. 100 cents is equal to $1. So once I get to 100, it becomes $1. And then we have 24 extra. Now let's see if we're counting by our hairs or our dots. If we get the same answer, we should. So remember, we're going to put a little dash to show that we've already counted it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, $1. Now we're going to go past $1. So $1 5 cents, $1 10 cents, $1 15 cents, $1 20 cents, and now all we have left is 21, 22, 23, 24. So we still got $1.24.